Most men aren't failing because they're weak. They're failing because no one ever taught them how to become a man in today's world. Greetings, this is Greg Swanson. Welcome back to the Warrior Mind podcast, or welcome to the Warrior Mind podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a crisis in masculinity, why men are lost, and how to reclaim yourself. This is one of the topics that, regardless of what gender I coach, eventually comes up. Where's all the men? How can I be a man? In so many words and so many phrases, and it's quite an epidemic out there. So I wanted to start a series of podcasts that talk about this crisis in masculinity and some of the things that we can do together um, to neutralize this. So many men today are facing a real crisis, right? Not of strength, but of identity. And you can see it. You can see those that, are walking with their head down and or they're super angry at the world or whatever those case may be. You can tell when there's somebody who's lost their identity, right? Most men aren't weak though. They're uninitiated, unaligned, and quietly lost. And they're lost internally, so they get lost externally because nobody showed them the internal path in order to facilitate and manifest the external path. Modern masculinity has collapsed. It's just we through several years, decades, have slowly eroded away the foundation of masculinity, thinking it's a dirty word, thinking it's, male chauvinist pig and all that. And that's not what this is about. This is about men being men and confusion, numbness, and lack of identity has helped to erode this concept of masculinity, right? Men drifting without a path or a purpose. They find bigger thrill in finding a fast car than they do in finding their life's purpose. So there's three drives that every man needs. And again, this is an oversimplification, but it's one that can really spark some questions, I hope, in yourself, right? And this is the battle to fight, not physically fight, not MMA fight, but stand up and be courageous and stand for something, fight for something. Whether it's your family, whether it's a political view, whether it's an environmental view, whether it's something, but men need something to stand up for. And then we want this adventure to live. We want to go out and have some adventures, whether that's mountain climbing, rock climbing, yoga, doing something, engaging with the natural world. And then we will need to have a mission to pursue. We are all put here on this earth for a reason, a purpose. And men specifically need this purpose and need a mission to follow, to feel fulfilled. And these drives create direction, aliveness, and connection. And without them, men drift. So, they can drift and be misplaced, right? They may think the battle to fight is fist fight. So they go to a bar and get in a fight. The adventure to live, maybe they go street racing instead. And a mission to pursue, maybe it's climbing the corporate ladder. And those are all misplaced drives that don't support this concept of masculinity. And there's four lies that are hijacking men. And these are the false masculinity model, right? Sex has identity. Like when you have sex, that's it. I'm me, I'm great, I'm a man. That is far from it. Power has worth. And the more you climb up the corporate ladder or the political ladder or whatever it might be, you have worth. And power does not equal worth. And money has meaning. It only has meaning for the meaning you put into it. But when you look at these individuals who think they are masculine, they're just grown up boys. They feel that sex is everywhere. They can have the more sex they have, the better they are as a man, and the more power, the control they have over somebody, the better they are as a man, and the more money they have, the more they feel that they're a man. And those are not what makes men men. Men don't feel it, right? Why men feel lost today. And these, again, are just some simplifications, but I would ask you if this is resonating with you, whether you're, a female listening to it and you want your male partner to jump in on this, do it. If you're a male listening to it, really embrace these concepts and reach out to myself or another coach to help you work through this. But there's no initiation, right? Native Americans had a strict initiation, and that was, from boys to men. Many people think today the military is an initiation, and that's part of it. But a real initiation is here's what you leave behind, here's who you are now, here's how you behave. And when you get into those initiations, there are some things that you adhere to. And in my shamanic teachings, we were taught that there's 12 initiations. The first is birth, the last is death, and in between you have several others. And one of them is this adolescence, this feeling of initiation, which we have completely ignored and bypassed. And there's no masculine guidance. You look at they're either superheroes or they're assholes on TV who are, our youth is watching to be, the role model to be a man and to be, have that masculine energy. There's no guidance out there because a lot of parents don't know how to do it because they were never taught. And so they just do what they were done. And so hence the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? There's numbing behaviors, overdosing on your smartphone, on games, on videos, on pornography, on drinking, on sex, whatever. It's just these numbing behaviors that just numb guys today from feeling that masculine or tapping into that masculine energy. And the guys out there are performing instead of aligning. They're performing to be approved. They're performing to get the high five. They're performing to get some accolades as opposed to aligning themselves with their core values, their missions, their purpose, what they believe in. They're just doing stuff to perform so they can get a high five. Right? This is not failure. It's a missing framework. The framework for helping, and it doesn't matter the age because most men, and I'll call it men in quotes, but grown boys, even at 50, have not gone through an initiation, have not had masculine guidance, and still participate in numbing behavior. So this is not age specific. This is just gender. Most men, this is what I have found when I coach them. So reclaiming yourself. Here's one of the ways to get back to that, right? Is identifying what's numbing you. Is it overconsumption of drugs, of alcohol, of overworking so much because you feel that's what's numbing you from hearing your voice, from hearing that internal guidance, and then rebuild your internal framework aligned with your values, your core beliefs, your virtues. And you cannot reclaim your life while distracted, sedated, and unfocused. This requires sobriety, if you will, at some level. And as with all good initiations, it means being by yourself. Native Americans would have you go to a humblation, right? Crying for a vision, 4 days in the wilderness, no food, no water, and you come back with this vision for your life, this purpose for your life. Those are things we need to get back into at some level. And so then when we can reignite and realign, this is part two to this, is reignite the masculine drives. I'm going to go through those real quick here at the end. There are 4 major archetypes that you can reignite these masculine drives, right? And define your code. What's your code of honor? How are you living your life? Most people don't have a code of honor, but you look back at Bushido had a code of honor. The Knights had a code of honor. Most militaries have some sort of a code that is how do you live your life. So when a decision comes, there's really no decision because you keep living your code. So you need to define your code, your values, and your standards. How are you going to stand up? How are you going to face the world every single day? Identity rises from alignment, not outward performance. So you align your code, your values, your standards, you align all of that. Then you start to embrace that masculinity that is deep, deep, deep inside of you. So these are the 4 archetypes that I was talking about for the masculine blueprint, right? The warrior archetype. This is an energy that is within all of us, and we can tap into it. That gives us action. That helps us take action towards our mission, takes action to go to the gym, takes action to do something. The king archetype delivers us our purpose. Why are we here? We have this purpose, and then the warrior takes action on that purpose. And then the lover archetype gives us that passion for it, that euphoric feeling, and then the magician has the wisdom on how best to proceed. So the combination of these four archetypes is at the core and the center of masculinity. And when men can embrace them, they become awakened, alive, and aware of their masculinity and using it for good as opposed to evil, right? Integration restores the wholeness men have lost. And so there are processes that I work with clients, and there's a lot of other coaches that work with integrating these archetypes into your daily activities, into your psyche. So here's some final thoughts, right? Men today aren't weak. They're lost in a culture that stripped them of direction, purpose, and a clear masculine identity. The crisis of masculinity comes from forgotten instincts, false cultural lies, and the absence of real initiation into modern manhood. Reclaiming your life begins by removing numbing distractions, rebuilding your internal framework, reigniting your core drives, and defining a personal code you can actually live by. These things are so essential. And again, whether you work with me or somebody else, these are things, when you get these into place, you're going to be awakened to how you've been wasting your energy on things that don't matter. And now you can put that energy to things that do matter, right? When the warrior, king, lover, and magician archetypes integrate, a man becomes whole again, grounded, purposeful, and fully aligned with his true strength. If you want to see the show notes on this podcast, you can visit warriormindcoach.com. While you're over there, you can find some more information in the form of podcast, blog posts, as well as how to book your power strategy call. Since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, all under Warrior Mind Coach.